If you really want to do something, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. I'm going to pick up today's devotional with that quote from Jim Rohn. That's one of more than 50 quotes you'll find in my book, Faith and Finances, the most important yet neglected areas of life. And that comes on the heels of this time last Sunday, sharing about what's most important to you. And I know I've shared that question multiple times. It's something that I hope people strongly consider what's most important to them, because that will reveal which direction your life is going. Whatever you're thinking about, whatever you're doing the most of, that's which way your life's going, whether you want it to or not. And by that, I mean, you could say one thing, but, just to sound and look good in front of others, but deep down inside, the things that shouldn't be most important to you actually are. So I'm not going to rehash everything that I've gone over last week or even in weeks past, because it's a question I bring up multiple times in the preface and the introduction, because it takes being honest with yourself about what's most important to you and acknowledging it, and either reshifting or refocusing your priorities, because that's how you're ultimately going to get out of life what it is that you really want. So for me, my priorities shifted when I was around 27 years old. I'm going to paraphrase these next couple of paragraphs before we call it a wrap on today about a questionable thing, what may come to mind about what's most important to me, or what should be most important to you as well, just based off the title of my book, Faith and Finances. So around my 27th year, my priorities started to shift, and it came as a result of reading the Bible. I was in God's Word every single day, on fire about it, interested in it, curious about it, going to different churches, so many things. And I'm not going to rehash my faith journey. I'll tag that video above just so you can get some clarity about how that all even came to be, how the Bible fell into my lap one day. Well, it took some time, but I eventually picked it up. Not going to rehash that either. The link's going to be above for you to check out that video. But today, I can confidently answer that question, what's most important to you, by saying my faith. And I'd like to think not only can my friends and family see it, but also people who just pass me on the street. They can tell that I am a follower of Jesus just by simply how I live my life, because they don't hear me talking about Jesus on this channel. They just see how I go about my day. Now, don't misunderstand this. I'm not perfect. Jesus was perfect. My goal was to follow his example, to implement the things that he did and become more like him every single day. Again, doesn't mean I'm going to live mistake-free, but that is my pursuit. And I know that he knows my heart, so that's where his mercy and grace comes into play. No different for each and every one of us who truly believes in him and picks up their cross, attempts to pick up their cross and follow him on a daily basis. So I am very much a work in progress. I think we all should be. Never stop learning, never stop pursuing the things that perk our curiosity, and those can reveal our passions, our purposes. So pay attention to the things that you're curious about as you go about your day, because some of our passions are hard to discover. But it takes stepping out in faith, trusting him that he will not point you down the wrong path. I know I've discovered that from my experience when I left my former career, took a step out in faith, and he showed me a whole new way of going about life. And that's where I found so much of what this world promises, and he delivered on. And that's peace, joy, contentment, all the things that I often talk about on here. But it's because of him and reading his word every single day. So my faith is what's most important to me. Next is finances. And you may be sitting there thinking, well, where does family come into play? I'll touch on that, God willing, this time next week.